Welcome to this special edition of ABNcast, one of three recorded at the recent UATP Airline Distribution conference held in Budapest. The event was an opportunity for some leading players in the industry to get together and discuss the emerging trends in airline retailing and payments. I hope you enjoy this episode, in which we speak to three experts about their views on the challenges and opportunities for the airline industry. Okay, so ABNcast is here on the first day of the Airline Distribution conference in Budapest in Hungary, which UATP are putting on. I'm joined now by one of UATP's long-term partners who have just announced some news we'll talk about in a minute, Trevipay. So Jeff Coppolo is the Chief Revenue Officer at Trevipay. Jeff, welcome to Budapest and welcome to the ABNcast. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Before we go into the news that you've announced recently in terms of what you're doing with UATP, just give us a brief overview of what Trevipay does and what you are, and then we'll go into that.
So Trevipay are a global B2B payments and invoicing platform. We serve large enterprises globally. We tend to focus on certain verticals like travel, retail, manufacturing, semiconductor. We provide a complete end-to-end order-to-cash solution within payments. So everything from so our client is the supplier.
Yep. So in this case, the airline.
In this case, it would be the airline.
Yep.
The buyer, we would underwrite the buyers of the supplier.
Yep.
So I'm going to keep it out of airlines for the moment. I'm just giving you sort of a general overview of what Trevipay does.
Yep.
And then we would handle everything in that order-to-cash continuum. So underwriting, taking on the credit risk, onboarding buyers, processing the payment, creating and delivering invoices in a compliant way and an ingestible way for the buyer so that they can actually pay it on time.
Right.
We handle the accounts receivable management and collections. We handle cash application to apply payments to the proper invoice. And we settle to the supplier, providing them with pristine, guaranteed day sales outstanding.
Yeah.
And all of this is done in a white label way, typically under their brand, although more and more people are looking to identify us as the payment provider. So there's sort of this powered by Trevipay concept.
Okay.
As we are becoming a more prominent brand in the industry.
Right. And you currently work with a number of airlines. Canada's one.
Yeah. So what's new is we are now an issuer on the UAPT network. That was the announcement that was made recently. For years, we've been serving other airlines who are issuers on the UATP network. Two of those are United Airlines and Air Canada. And so really what's happening is we're applying our payments expertise, our sort of sales focus on payments, and our just knowledge within payments in ways that airlines themselves can't. They're very focused on distribution and selling what they sell. Payments is a different animal, and that's what we specialize in. So we've had long-standing relationships with Air Canada and United. They're very healthy, growing, robust programs, and it's because we're the driving force behind all that growth for them.
Yes.
What we're looking to do going forward is, now that we are in a contract and partners with UATP, we can leverage their global network and the many airlines and travel management companies that participate in their ecosystem. We can provide that same service that we do for United and American.
Yeah.
Only we can do it as the issuer. We could actually issue the cards, issue that payment modality.
Okay. So it opens up the market to you in a way that wasn't really available before.
It's a tremendous opportunity in travel for us.
Yeah.
We do some other work in travel. Choice Hotels is one of our clients, but these are all typically direct integrations to Trevipay.
Right.
This is now us as an issuer of the UATP card and representing the airlines or a travel management company, and it does open up, hundreds of opportunities where we have that expertise that we can help them to grow their sales to corporates and others.
Yeah. It seems like a really, from an outsider's point of view, I'm no expert on the complexities of the payments environment, but it appears extremely complicated. There are layers of partnerships and companies involved, all doing slightly but similar things.
Yeah.
You know, and you're trying to get your head around exactly what an issue is, what an acquirer is, what a BSP is, etc. Is it inevitably complicated due to the nature of the industry, or is it do you feel it's overly complicated and there's a need to simplify things?
Well, Lee, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I've got a lot to learn in travel.
Yeah.
I do know payments. I've been in payments for quite a long time. Travel is a whole new thing, and there are so many acronyms that can cause our heads to spin, and I just spent a half a day here learning.
And it's also changing all the time as well. So
It's changing all the time. It's an interesting dynamic. It's changing all the time, and yet there's a ton of legacy systems and maybe attitudes in the travel space that are really hard to change.
Yeah.
And people talk about all these new changes, and then they talk about how we'll still be talking about this change 15 years from now. So I'm sure they're right. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, travel is just a big opportunity.
Yeah.
And
I suppose there are aspects, especially airlines, that is inevitable because you're global, so you've got every market potentially serve. And in the past, it wouldn't be possible for a traveller from the Far East to report a ticket on a low-cost carrier in the States,
right,
in their own currency and all that. So actually, because the industry is trying to be more customer-centric, it causes huge amounts of additional challenges on the payment side and reconciliation. That's where the complexity comes.
For sure.
The nature of what the industry wants to be. It wants to become this seamless global industry.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, payments itself, forget about travel. Payments is incredibly complicated on a global scale. There are different compliance rules and regulations in every single market. And then you take the complexity of just travel and all the issues that the travel industry deals with in each of those markets. Then you try to marry the two. It's like complexity on top of complexity.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of smart people here. We're all trying to figure it out. And at the end of the day, it's all about partnerships. I hear a lot about partnerships in the sessions this morning. And we're just another partner lending our expertise, trying to make it better for the travel world.
Yeah. We'll be here for a day and a half. There's a lot of sessions that go on, but there's really the networking is maybe the important thing for a company like yours and getting your name and your brand out there and people. Well, why is it important that these kind of events happen? Because there's a number of them through the year. In fact, there's very many in aviation per se. You'll choose and pick the ones you want to go to, most important for you. But why is it still important to get these people together in one place for even if it's a couple of days?
I think it's all about relationships. Somebody mentioned. So I think the competition for business travel has been video conferencing.
Yeah.
But it's not fun. It might be practical and inexpensive, but it really can't replace one-on-one personal interaction. So that point was made. Similar with AI, with how AI might change things. At the end of the day, AI can't create relationships. So this interaction and this networking opportunity that happens at a place like this UATP event, I think is super powerful, and I don't think that's ever going to go away or be replaced by AI or video conferencing.
Yeah. You're not a travel industry expert. You're probably a traveller. You travel a lot.
In that sense, I guess I have.
And there's someone who is on the customer side. And the way things are changing, we've seen it change, and there's no doubt that it's better today than it was in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Incremental change will continue. When you look at how we'll travel in the future, and there was talk in the last panel about how quick this change will come. I mean, whether it's 10, 20, whatever it is years, change is happening, and it's happening, and it may speed up. The promise of AI is that it will potentially quicken the pace of change, and technology will tend to make things happen quicker.
Right.
Do you think we're on the cusp of interesting change at the minute? And if we are, is payments the key to enabling that to happen? Because if you can't transact, you can't make that change happen.
Yeah, interesting question. Wow. I don't know if it's gotten better. When I look at these old nostalgic videos of people flying on like Pan Am, where the service looked impeccable, it's just not quite like that today, especially not in the main cabin.
Okay.
But I think payments is everything you hear about on the consumer side of payments, removing friction. We think about, hailing cabs versus Uber and Lyft and services like that. Super efficient, and now here's everybody on the corporate side of the business side of payments dealing with clunky manual processes. So a lot of that energy is moving into the B2B side of payments.
Yeah.
And I think all of that sophistication of technology is only going to make the travel experience better too, but the two worlds have to merge. And I think on both sides of it, B2B payments and travel in general, they're both sort of leveling up to make it better. I think that we can solve a lot of things in payments to help airlines and TMCs grow sales. And that's really what we're focused on. And everything that we're doing for those entities can be very bespoke, very customizable to solve whatever problems it is that they're trying to solve. They're focused on distribution and increasing operational efficiencies, and we can help them with that on the payment side so they can focus more on sales and distribution.
Yeah. I suppose the expectations are set by what for instance, I came in yesterday, took the bus from the airport and just beat my card on a machine on the bus. Now, 10, 15, 5 years ago, that was unthinkable.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do it here, but obviously you get here, you realize you can. It's so easy.
Yeah.
And when you think about the complexities behind just that beat, it's quite astonishing. That's where you guys
it's amazing. We're in Budapest. I mean, who'd have thought it could be that efficient right here?
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
Look, that's gone very quick. Jeff, time is up. But thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yeah.
And the best of luck with your growing partnership with UATP and in the airline industry. So thanks very much, John.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Enjoyed the talk.
All right. So our next guest on ABNcast is Alex Olsen. He's the VP of Paid Partnerships at a company called HRS. You'll explain what that is in a minute. Now, look, we're here at an airline distribution event, and you are in the hospitality industry. What are you doing here for a start?
So we're here to support, obviously, the announcement of HRS becoming a merchant of the UATP network, thus enabling anyone who has a UATP form of payment to be able to book over 1 million properties globally, which includes content that obviously comes from the GDS, which makes up about 20% of the global content. And then there's an additional 80% of those direct channel off GDS bookings where HRS has the direct connectivity, direct relationship with the properties. That is now all open to UATP cardholders or corporations that have the UATP card. Okay, so that's quite a significant impact on the industry, quite a significant change. If you use UATP, you now have this much wider off airline inventory to address. So what do you expect the impact of that to be? So I think the impact will be felt in a bunch of different ways. Obviously now they can control or book 75 to 80%. They obviously have the integration with Uber. They have the airline integrations with over 200 airline merchants accepting it, now all these hotels through HRS. But I think that the impact will be trickled down, right? Because with more and more spend going onto this virtual form of payment with UATP, there's less of a need to have corporate cards in people's wallets, right? So now you really only have to focus on those meals and those little other expenses that occur on a trip, which can be done through reimbursement, which can also be done through probably provisioning of a virtual card to a mobile wallet, right? And you're really taking out the liability for companies with their travel policy, because now there's not the need to issue plastic to every single employee. You could handle booking the air and the hotel and the ground transportation all through one medium. So I think the impact will be far-reaching over time.
So there's a convenience factor, cost savings, efficiency, back office stuff as well. So it's kind of complicated area, but I guess simplifying it is better.
So I mean, one of the things with HRS, we're really end-to-end, right? So it isn't just about booking the content. After the booking, we take care of the invoice collection from the hotel. So the traveler doesn't have to present a form of payment. When they check out, they just leave. We'll go collect the invoice. We'll make sure it's correct and matches against what was booked originally. At that point, we'll digitize it. We'll upload it into the expense management system, something the traveler no longer has to do. It's itemized and ideally automatically submitted for approval. So really, there's only one touch point for the traveler, and that's to book the hotel that they want to stay at. From there, it's all an automated process through. And then at the end, if it's a VAT eligible invoice, we can even do the VAT reclaim on behalf of the company so they can get up to 10% back of the spend. All through our automated reconciliation technology.
And that's, I guess, a theme today has been, how an industry works together more seamlessly to provide the end customer a all these words keep flying around, but frictionless. We know what it means. It's becoming, you say it often enough, you work out what it actually means, but But this is what needs to happen now. There's a lot of players that we see here. There's a lot of players in this sector.
Yep.
And if they don't collaborate and work together, that's where you get the friction. That's where you get.
And that's the exact point of this partnership is how to bring the airlines and hotels in this case, and also ground transportation into one medium, one easy form of payment that is unified, right? Because at the end of the day, the other benefit of it is, as UATP as the network, we're able to enrich their data. Similar to how the airlines do it, we can do it on the hotel side.
Yeah.
So now the customer is getting this enriched data. And with that data, there's a number of options they can do. They obviously get more transparency in their program. They can make better decisions to accommodate their travelers. They can negotiate ideally better rates. And the ultimate goal through our Green Stay initiative, which is our sustainability, is actually to get to level 4 data and provide the carbon offset for hotels similar to what airlines are provided.
Yeah.
And now you can make decision points on a multiple criteria and really build your program based on what is important to you, whether it's savings, security, sustainability, so on and so forth.
So we've done nearly a full day. I think it's coffee time.
Yeah.
The noise behind us is people networking, having coffee on day one. 4 or 5 sessions. We talked a lot about the speed of change in the industry. So give us your thoughts on how you think that's going. Always frustration. It can never happen quickly enough.
So it's interesting. I think there have been things we've been talking about for a decade, NDC, that is still not really there. Maybe it's a little bit there. They throw out numbers like 20%. But then you see things like Block Sky, where significant announcements are being made about companies like PwC and others doing something.
So Block Sky is, just so people don't know, I think it was Deloitte, wasn't it?
Yeah, Deloitte, yeah.
So Deloitte, one of the biggest corporate travelers in the world, these guys are the big guys there, is working with a blockchain company now called Block Sky.
Block Sky, yeah.
A US-based company to do all their bookings, which
to do all their bookings, to all their payment for air, and to make it a seamless experience for the traveler that also records the record and can build upon it.
Yeah.
So I think, where Block Sky's vision would be is, let's say you're flying on United into Munich and you're connecting on Lufthansa. Right now, those two systems are separate, the Lufthansa and the United system.
Yeah.
But by using a blockchain technology, Lufthansa will be able to see the bag information much more easily, and they'll be one place.
It enables that sharing of data in a way that the corporations are happy with, because they're not losing it. They know when it's on the blockchain, it should be immutable, therefore, and no one can edit it. So this is the idea. Actually, the blockchain used to be the thing everyone talked about. I mean, it's probably AI now. It's been mentioned a lot. Blockchain, and everyone mentions blockchain, people go quiet. I think probably because there's been issues around crypto.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, it didn't go away. Blockchain. The promise is still there, what it can do. And here's an example of it. In real life, in the wild.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think when you can put in the hotel, put in the ground transportation into one chain, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now you really have people who have the ability easily or more easily to work together.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, corporate travel, leisure travel, you want everyone who's traveling to have a great experience.
Yeah.
Right? And anything you can do to get information about your guests that can make their experience more seamless, easier, can address their needs, whatever those might be, you're going to have a happier traveler. You're going to create loyalty.
Yeah.
And then, loyalty is an option for blockchain too in the future.
I think it was your example, wasn't it, of a flyer, a traveller who's had a coffee spilled on him or a drink on the aircraft.
Yeah.
That's gone onto some system, a blockchain system.
Yep.
And that comes to the hotel. The hotel is then ingesting that information, and they offer some free laundry at the check-in or something. And I mean that's all the dream.
But free laundry, or even there are services out there. I know there's a company called Hyde in the U.S. that can actually get you an outfit based on your specs and your measurements for the appropriate outfit, I should say, for the event you're going to, delivered in some cities to your hotel within 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
So if this happens on a plane, a company like that can step right in and add their value to the system, all because they have the information and can solve the problem.
Well, one of the was mentioned, I think maybe probably in the panel you're on, but this is great stuff. It's amazing. But then when you say you can do this, you set expectations at a level that you fear if you fall short of that, you get the disbenefit of that way outweighs just not doing it because you don't think you can.
So today it's done manually.
Yeah.
Right? So today someone spills on you on a plane. If you have a profile, for example, with Hyde, you can email them. And if you've already used them, they have your measurements. They can get that delivered to you. But it's you, the traveler, who has to make the effort, i.e. the friction is with you. The idea is to remove that friction and put it with someone else to automatically do it.
Yeah. And actually with technology on aircraft now, when you see the kind of connectivity, streams, there's a whole lot of stuff can be done there that, again, it's not really utilized, but the technology is there. I think it's the thing, the technology kind of is there for this sort of stuff. It's just not being used. Companies are a bit concerned about making this promise because, like I say, if they fall short, they that's when they get the criticism. If you don't offer it and you don't say you can do this, and you don't give it, obviously,
but you got to try.
You're not setting expectations. But I think, an industry that is confident that they can actually do this will start to do it, and the ones that do it, I guess, get the loyalty, which means that everyone else will follow. Is that?
Yeah, totally. I think the loyalty will absolutely follow that. But I'd say travel in general is pretty forgiving of an industry. People have bad experiences all the time, whether it's delays, cancellations, lost bags. But you know what? They go on the next trip pretty quickly, especially corporate travelers. We're back out on the road. Yeah. We've probably seen it all at this point. Yeah. Right? So I think it's a forgiving industry, but people want to see innovation at least attempted.
Yeah. Final thought before we wrap up on our little bit. But the day started with some just some figures and stats on where the industry is in terms of its growth coming out of COVID. The one big thing seemed to be what's going on in America with a particular politician, and almost no one can mention his name, but that seems to be the big kind of unknown. And actually, industries hate unknowns. They hate not being able to predict. Is that the one big stumbling block? I mean, it seems to have come out of COVID pretty well. So lots of challenges.
So I think internationally, it's a stumbling block for sure, right? Because you've created this divide between nations, between regions. I think domestically, within each of our regions, it's still going to be strong. Yeah. Europeans will travel more domestically. Americans will continue to travel domestically. I think it's the international component and connecting the world that will feel the pain in that. Yeah. So I still think you're going to see a lot of people in their regions do things, and I think there'll just be more domestic or inter-regional travel probably over the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah. Look, thanks for joining us on ABNcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And enjoy the rest of this conference. And,
thank you so much.
See you again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm joined now by Tal Dadia, who's the founder and CEO of the Leeway, which is a company. Well, I'll explain in a minute what he does, because it's fairly complicated, but it's about split payments. Which still, it's first day still of the UATP Airline Distribution Conference. So we've heard all morning about the emerging and changing environment for payments in airlines and distribution, retail and e-commerce and so on. So Tal, tell us what Leeway exactly does. What are you bringing to the table that is a bit unique and a bit special?
For sure. Thank you, Lee. So Leeway is a split payment experience company. Well, if we start from the problem, obviously, for airlines at least, it's roughly 20%, up to 20% of credit card declines when people try to pay for tickets. At least in 20% of the cases, they don't manage to do so. Yeah. And in 45% of the cases, it's because of insufficient funds. Right. So people don't have enough money on their credit cards to pay for those high-ticket items. Yeah. So what Leeway is doing is we've built a split payment engine that allows for those end consumers to split the cost up front, so they don't need to reimburse one another post-purchase. Yeah. So we're going to airlines and such, and offering them a white label widget which they can embed into their checkout experience. Yeah. That allows their end customers to either split the cost between other people, so it's a group order in that sense, or with a split and mix of credit cards, so to say multi-card experience, and or a split payment experience with a mix of loyalty points, credit cards, UATP of all sorts and such.
Okay. Yeah, so they might have some loyalty points, they might have some cash.
Exactly.
They need some credit to top it up. They can, and that's that's very complicated. It brings together a lot of parts.
And that's why we're called Leeway. We're more about the flexibility for a person to be able to pay however they want, instead of going with the mainstream approach as this for today. Unless
has this sort of thing not been done before due to complexity? And is tech or emerging tech the answer to that? Is that why you're here today?
Well, to be completely transparent, I think people have tried to do that type of solution for the past 15 years. Yeah. Group payments is not a new thing. I think now is the time for us to do so and succeed in it because of two main reasons. One, I think the payment experience market is now blooming. Companies like Klarna and Affirm has pretty much educated the market just to add a button to their checkout experience. So the educated market of just adding a commodified button to their experience, that's something that we're entering into. So it's fairly easy to do so today.
Yeah.
And I think from the tech perspective, well, yes, our technology is pretty complex in the sense that we're not a payment company, we're not a payment gateway. We have orchestrated the intersection of the payment experience with the existing PSP of a merchant. So to say, we're a layer on top of their existing payment stack.
Yeah.
So if an airline comes to me and say we're on top of Leeway or WorldPay or Stripe or whatever there is, or even if they have their own orchestrator, we have built the business logic of a split payment engine on top of their existing stack.
Yeah.
Which is a bottleneck for other companies to do so.
And look at all the different sectors that this approach might be applied to, and actually travel and airlines is the one because of the regularity of payment. In other words, you might travel on holiday once a year, which it's a big outlay once a year. It's more, but you won't buy a new kitchen once a year. So you've got a kind of mixture of high ticket value and fairly frequent purchases. And people simply at any given time may not have the cash available so they're looking for options in order to sort of just finance that short term, which is what this is one of the options they can look at.
Exactly, and if you think about it from a different perspective, once an airline sees not just the first payer that usually pays for the entire 100% of a transaction, now there's other members that are paying in that group, and now the airline can see all of them.
Yeah.
So from a customer acquisition cost, which is roughly a lot of money for airlines, now using Leeway, they have the ability to see the other payers that are hidden inside existing transactions already.
Yeah.
So instead of or adjusted to paying SEO like Google ads or Facebook ads or anything anywhere else, now they have the ability to get 1+1 in terms of a customer acquisition cost. They have the data using Leeway.
Yeah. Tell us how far you advanced now in this. I mean, is this you in the market now? You're being used?
Yes. So thank you for that. So we're live.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for the past 1.5 years, I'd say. We're focusing on 10 design partners that we already have today, getting the product live and ready for them to be used.
Yeah.
And also we have signed 3 airlines, which I cannot elaborate a lot about. But obviously one of them is very global and the 2 others are regional.
Okay.
So hopefully we're gonna hit the milestones and get to more.
Yeah. So there's gonna be a point at which you can talk publicly about which airlines those are, and they're your pioneering.
Of course, they're pioneering.
First customers. So you prove and learn a lot, I guess, about.
Oh, you have no idea.
Because you in some ways you won't know what the customer does until it's out there live.
Well, it's not just about what the customers want. It's really about the airlines and how they perceive the ability to offer group payments, which is something they know about.
Yeah.
They wanted to do that for a long time, but they didn't have the tech capabilities to do so in a flexible way. So to say, what happens when one of the members doesn't manage to pay in time for their tickets?
Yeah.
So we're solving all of that using API flexibility, which is tailored to the airline needs.
Yeah. So you've almost got to think about what the issues could be when you're doing this, because like you said, you've got a group of 5. One payment failed. That means the whole transaction failed.
The edge cases are the actual problems.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of edge cases when it comes to asynchronous payments, and not just one person paying for all of them.
Yeah. Is this sort of thing? Do you think this is how a sector? Is this going to grow a sector? Is it just going to make people who would book anyway happier? I mean, I suppose it's a bit of both, isn't it? But I guess it's going to make regular bookers increase their happiness, increase their customer satisfaction, which is what everyone wants. But it might actually increase the market. I mean, there may be transactions out there you don't currently get because you haven't got the flexibility. So
yeah. So the way we actually measure our potential success is using the KPI of time to conversion.
Yeah.
Not just conversion, which makes a lot of sense, but time to conversion. Why? Because if one person sees the checkout and says, "Wow, paying for 4 tickets is a lot of money," maybe they will take the time to decide whether to do this or not.
Yeah.
Or they will need to deliberate with their friends using other methods. So what we're trying to see here is that we can shorten the time to conversion, and by that actually increase conversion.
Yeah. And then, like you say, you'll find they're making savings in other parts of their business, like retargeting and marketing, because you've got that conversion done.
Customer acquisition cost, exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, we have another solution which is under the same technology for the B2B side of the airlines and LTAs. So to say, if you have a travel agent that is trying to organize a group payment, the way they're doing it today is by chasing down all of the members and calling them, getting their credit card information, maybe making some fat finger mistakes and such.
Yeah.
And we're streamlining that by group payment links as well.
Yeah. This morning's sessions, a lot of talk about how quickly or not quickly an industry like this moves into this sort of new world. There's lots of stuff going on, and if you're not in the airline industry, it all seems very baffling. Lots of words and acronyms you don't know about, but it's all about change really, and a lot of discussion about how quickly an industry like this changes, and there's a lot of reasons why it doesn't change quickly. A lot of things that turn back change. Technology is always one of them actually. From an outsider's point of view, coming in, try and change the industry. Is that one thing you concern yourself with? That the fear is that the industry won't come with you as quickly as you'd like to move?
Well, obviously, from a young startup perspective, it's sometimes frustrating to see the market moving very slow.
Yeah.
Not surprised by it, but it is what it is. I can honestly say that I think some of the biggest players in the buy now, pay later sector are making waves and helping companies like ourselves to have the ability to speak with those airlines and to offer our solution for them, because they're already looking for those solutions that already exist and are very much mature.
Yeah.
So I'd say, although the market is unstable in the sense of trying new things, I do think there's an openness, at least from the payments perspective, to try and explore new opportunities there, because payments is another way of making revenue.
Yes.
It's not just about the credit card anymore.
Yeah. Final thought before we close up. This is the second time we've met at one of these sorts of events. So you get the opportunity to be out here talking to people face to face. What's the reaction when you talk to people about what you do? Do you feel there's an appetite for it? Is there a desire to leap on this and get change done quickly?
Yes, truthfully told, I think we're hitting the market on a great timing.
Yeah.
I think everyone is now looking at payment optimization, not just in airlines, by the way, but overall in travel sector. Everyone is optimizing right now. I think in airlines specifically, because they don't generally have that spender success team internally, they are looking for external services to be provided.
Right.
So I think that the timing is right for us, and we're getting a lot of good and positive reactions.
Yeah.
And I think in airlines specifically, in this specific sector, it seems like when you start working with one or two, the others tend to follow along.
Yeah. Okay. So hence, when you get these first few on live and you can talk about it in public,
Exactly.
you'll sort of open the floodgates, maybe. Okay. We'll hope you can only hope. Tal, thanks for that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. Good luck. Thank you. Cheers.